I'd like to call my friend Justin Lawman. Justin, we haven't spoken to you for a while. I'm wondering if everything goes quiet and peaceful in the world, or if you have any news that you can bring to us.
Nothing happening, Scotty.
Nothing happening. Okay,
same.
Let's move to the next segment. How we're going to be listening to Esther Mui, Psalm 123 here on Faith. Justin,
Yeah.
I woke up, I think it was on Saturday morning, and I tend not to look at on my phone on the Saturday. I should put some more blockings there, but my phone was all over the place saying that basically there's a new war happening between Iran and Israel. What's going on there? Could we see this one coming?
Well, we've been talking about it for ages, haven't we? The world's seen it coming. The idea of the Islamic Republic of Iran having a nuclear weapon was not something either Israel, particularly Israel and the United States and many other Western, and in fact the Arab neighbors to the Persian Empire there, they didn't want it either. So it's, Israel's gone in, and have they gone in? And again, they have shocked, I think, well, certainly shocked me, but they've shocked most commentators with how brilliantly executed this was. They have decapitated the leadership of Iran at the same time as bombing the military and nuclear facilities. So not so much the nuclear reactors. We're not excited about that happening, but the bunkers and the places where they want to enrich uranium so they can build, they were saying up to 15 nuclear weapons. It's not been, and guys, I don't think this is going to be a walk in the park from here. It looks like the leadership of Iran is being toppled, but that's, at this stage, I'm not so sure it's going to be quite that straightforward.
Yeah, I saw that on the news that some Iranian officials were saying that they are willing to sit down and to negotiate giving up on their nuclear ambitions if Israel stops bombing them, and they're going to stop as well. But at this stage, everything is just so fluid. It's very hard to tell what's happening or not. But it looks like, from what I'm seeing, that everybody thought that Iran was probably one of the most well-guarded airspaces in the world. And it turns out that Israel basically rehabilitated them and they obtained aerial supremacy in the entire country, pretty much.
Well, Mossad, that's the Israeli CIA, so to speak. They were on the ground with drones in Iran, taking out these anti-aircraft defense systems, and they were, I think in the first few hours, they killed 6 of the scientists that are building the nuclear systems. They took out heaps of leaders. There is speculation whether they'll get Khamenei, the
Ayatollah, the supreme leader.
He himself is under threat as people have fled to Moscow. Wow, it's all going on, and let's see. I think once they've started the job here, the big question, will the United States be drawn into this? They have defended Israel with their Berkeley-class destroyers so far, taking out some of the missiles. Their missile defense system's under a lot of pressure here, and they're getting through. So the Iranians are getting missiles into Tel Aviv, into different parts of Israel, and it's incredible footage to watch. You can see how they're taking out so many missiles, but there's just too many, and they're really doing some damage as well.
And the speed with which they fall, it's insane. When you look at that, it's really scary.
They use sonics, which is a new technology that really they can't stop. They're too fast, and so it's let's be praying about this. It would be wonderful. Since 1980, the Islamic Revolution that took place there, Jimmy Carter was president. They have dominated that country. And the amazing thing to me is the number of Iranians you can hear on these different videos that have been put up on the internet that are rejoicing, fighting with Israel, because they want to be rid of the leadership that has oppressed that country since 1980. So
yes.
it will never be that clear. There'll be all sorts of terrorism results if they lose power, because there's literally millions of supporters, millions in the military. Let's see what happens, but please pray for it, that the gospel could really, because there's a lot of Christians in Iran.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I was a little bit even surprised, but then not so surprised that the Australian Association of the Iranian community, they actually condemned Iran and their actions in regards to that. So they don't. It looks like their support is very thin among many groups. And as you mentioned, do you know who Pastor Doug Batchelor is?
Certainly do.
So Pastor Doug Batchelor is an evangelist and he has lots of online content. And one of the things that he said is that their content is broadcasted in Farsi, in the Farsi language, to Iran on a weekly basis. And they said that they have received so many emails about people that secretly have converted themselves to Christianity, and one of the number one prayer requests that they do is that God would allow this current regime to fall down so that they can have more religious freedom in their country.
Wow, and it's been such a checkered history with what we call regime change in the Middle East. It's not been a success. This is a different country. The Persian culture goes back as long as Israel goes back. And there is a respect between these two nations historically. Cyrus let the Jewish people go back to rebuild the temple in Jerusalem. That's all Persia. This is all that predates Islam as a religion. So let's see what happens here. It would be wonderful if there could be just the people get control of their country again and they become a parliamentary democracy as they were before. Let's see.
Absolutely. And Justin, what's been going on in the United States? We have seen some riots in LA and attempts of riots in other places against the immigration policies. What's Donald Trump doing? What's happening over there? Have you been seeing anything in that space?
Well, I tell you, there's been an assassination, a successful one, of a Democratic leader in, what's the name of the
Minnesota?
state? Yep, and it turns out that lady voted with the Republicans on a bill that week, and the guy they're hunting to try and catch, the alleged killer, was employed by the Democratic governor. So it's turned violent, and here we have this No King protests right across the United States, a massive movement there. Just yesterday, people would have seen it on the news, and at the same time, they're celebrating the U.S. military. Other side, if you've ever seen a schism in a country, I wonder if this schism can be mended. And I honestly, I still believe that nation has a potential of civil war. And the chasm between the two sides isn't coming closer together.
No.
It just seems to be getting wider. And I'd love that a nation could be united and it wouldn't be divided, but it seems to be very, very divided at the moment. And we're seeing that. The ISIS coming in, trying to remove illegal immigrants, and that is the point of contention at the moment, and it is very contentious.
Look, speaking about civil war, there had been a poll in 2022, I believe, and the Guardian posted that, and others did, and 47% of Americans think that they're probably going to go through another U.S. civil war in the next decade or so. So almost half of the country believe that they themselves are going to get into civil war. So it's
crazy.
Yeah, the situation there is so polarized. So what about Russia and China? Do we have any news on that front?
The G7 are going to be meeting in the next few days. Our Prime Minister's over there we're not part of the G7, but he's going to be meeting there with them. He's going to have a face-to-face meeting with Donald Trump. That's big news, and keep an eye on that because they're on different sides of the political spectrum. Our Prime Minister, Albanese, and Donald Trump. Anything could happen and probably will happen. China.
They have been cordial between each other so far. Donald Trump, appears to show some degree of respect to Albanese, which is a good thing.
I think if we were smart, we would have changed out Kevin Rudd. That's just my opinion. Okay. That's not Faith FM's opinion. He really has offended Donald Trump, and Donald Trump is a guy you don't want to offend if you're trying to negotiate with him. He takes stuff personal.
Well, we haven't spoken about that, but what about Elon Musk, right? Because Elon and Donald had a big fallout, but then apparently they're friends again. Like, what happened there?
I maintain that they started the ICE raids in LA. Again, this is purely my opinion, guys, to change the news cycle, because prior to the ICE raids where they're going in, they're not chasing criminals for the first time. They're actually just going into businesses and getting all the illegals. That was never going to blow up. Like, it was always going to be a disaster. Yeah. It took the news cycle off the breakup of the century, Donald and Elon, and Elon, to say Donald's on Epstein's, he's in his book or on his list.
Yeah.
That's wow. That went way further than anyone thought.
Yeah.
And that's all off the news cycle now. Apparently they're giving each other compliments again. So
yes, Elon said that he went too far, but then everybody's wondering because Shell and I were talking about it the other day because Elon had access to pretty much everything, all the files that U.S. government could afford, and yet he comes with that level of accusation. It's quite serious.
Elon's on the spectrum and it's been a very positive thing for him. He's an incredible engineer, very black and white person. So there will be something to this. This wouldn't have just come out of the stratosphere. There's got to be some facts in behind this, and it's all gone quiet. The world's sort of focusing on other stuff. This may come up again, and that could be a big, big thing.
So from the China-Russia front, then what is it that we should be keeping an eye on? Is there, now that we had another war happening, is China probably contemplating extending their ambitions towards Taiwan? Do you think that this is going to be a thing? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, remember, just days ago, Hegstedt says, the U.S. Defense Secretary, China's invasion of Taiwan is imminent. And now we've had their great ally in the Middle East, Iran, be attacked by Israel with America in the background, at the moment in the background. Russia is also a big ally of Iran. Those two adversaries, if there was an opportunity to take Taiwan, if America gets drawn into this conflict, I think that's something we're really got to be praying about, that this doesn't spread wider. Because if China goes into Taiwan, that takes the world to the brink of getting into a third world war.
Yeah.
And that's not something anyone wants to see.
That's right. And it will be very likely that countries like Japan and Australia even could be dragged into that.
Definitely. We won't avoid it. We are geographically, in the small globe that we live on now, we are very much involved in there.
Justin, thank you so much for bringing up the updates about what's going on in the world. As the book of Revelation says in Revelation 11, verse 8, the nations are angry. You can see this all over the place. Let's keep praying that the gospel can continue to be preached so that Jesus can come and come soon.
You're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.